Does everybody know what time it is?
Home Impodcast time!
That's right, a company that is Benford Tools is proud to present a home improvement podcast. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan. Jordan, we poppin' champagne like we in the championship game. End of the season, baby, we did it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's finally arrived. I feel like we've won something. I don't know what.
Winners, losers, let's not put labels on this. Let's just acknowledge what we have achieved, and that is we've made it through an entire season of home improvement, and that's the first season. And today we're here to just kind of talk about that in our season in summation episode.
Yeah, we sure are. We've got lots of things to cover. We've got top episodes. We've got top guest spots. We've got worst episodes. We're going to really cover the whole gambit here, or gamut, I should say.
Yeah, gamut. We're gonna keep it loose this ep.
I'm not going to mince words.
Let's not mince words, and let's not worry about making friends. This is the closest we're gonna get to home improvement after dark. It's gonna be this episode, unedited, unfiltered, undisputed. That's what you're gonna expect out of this episode. Jordan, do you want to delve into the origins of the podcast?
The origins, yeah. I suppose we can. It seems only appropriate, really. It started. You and I have always wanted to do something stupid, right? Something stupid like this, and we've floated around different ideas. We floated out a Rodney Dangerfield podcast. We floated. I don't even remember what other ideas there were.
Also known as Dangercast.
Dangercast, which it still might happen someday.
I like it.
But it might be a shorter iteration.
You realize that if we would have done Dangercast, we would have already been done. Like there's probably not 24 Rodney Dangerfield movies.
No, it would have been a struggle. Actually, I heard him the other day on a Sirius radio channel, which was
really
interesting. They had him on there, and I will say that 2 out of the 4 people in the car did not know who he was, and that was very sad.
Well, that's just you're just hanging around with the wrong people.
Yeah, wrong crowd.
Yeah, hanging out, you and your millennial friends.
Well, you don't have any millennial friends that I'm aware of, and your friends I don't want to talk about. So
that's right.
But yeah, we decided, we didn't want to have a show that we loved. We didn't want to have a show that we hated. So we found something right in the middle, something that we could analyze critically, something that we could enjoy talking about, but also kind of watch for the first time, kind of watching it fresh.
Right. We came in with it, and growing up with it to an extent, being in Michigan, we both came in with background knowledge of the show, but not an overwhelming amount. And I do think that's the point, that we like it, but we don't love it, and sometimes we don't even like it or love it. It's important because I listen to podcasts or hear people talk about shows or things that they really like, and it's annoying. Like to hear someone just constantly praise something or just sort of fawn over a show. To me, is not especially entertaining. And I think Home Improvement offers opportunities to both praise and sort of denigrate. And that's what I like about being able to do the show. Because, quite often, Tim's a jerk. Jill's irrational. The kids are lame. The jokes are bad. Wilson seems not like a real person. And that gives us more and more things to talk about. So.
At the same time, we don't want to constantly, undermine the show or say that it's terrible. So we wanted to find things that we did like. And I think we did that. Maybe not as much as we possibly could, but there's things like overhead camera shots that Adam loves. We found characters that really struck us in a way that we didn't think they would, and performances that we didn't expect. And it's
great guest stars, good jokes, good physical humor, good camera work, and just genuinely some fun episodes this season, and some episodes that weren't so fun. We're going to talk about those in a little bit. But before we talk about that, we're going to relay some information that some of you may have heard last week, and that is with regards to our recent donation tabs, right? So we are looking to meet a couple of goals here, and the first one is, to cover the cost of server space and to bring new episodes every week, we're looking to raise $180 over the next year. It'll allow us to keep our archive of episodes available and also bring new episodes every week. If we were able to make more than that, we'd upgrade our media hosting to unlimited storage, and we can just... What are we going to do with that money? We're going to be able to keep the episodes available. What else, Jordan?
Yeah, we're hopefully going to be able to expand some options with recording. Right now, we can only maximum put 4 episodes out a month. So if we were to do a sort of season recap, that might be a little bit more than the normal 4 that we do, or something of that nature. We wouldn't be able to do it with our current funds. So this would help give us some more options as far as recording and give us some more information about our listeners as well.
Domains cost money. Storage costs money. Equipment to a small degree costs money. The show costs, not a paltry amount over the course of a year, but we're doing it for free, and we like doing it. We're happy to do it. But at the same time, if people would be willing to donate, that would be very helpful for us, and it would make it easier for us to continue to do this for you every week. And yeah, like I said, whether we meet our goals or not, we're going to continue to do the podcast, but we would love any and all support that you all could provide for us. And there's 2 ways to support us. And Jordan, do you want to start by talking about the Patreon route?
I thought you would never ask. So Patreon is a platform where you can go ahead and donate to your favorite authors, bloggers, podcasters like us. So if you go to patreon.com/Home Impodcast, you'll find our page. It's got a little intro about who we are and what kind of goals we're looking to achieve. They also have a reward system, so there's different tiers based on your monthly giving, which can be canceled at any time. So to give you an example, if you pledge at $3 or more a month, we're going to kind of revamp the intro that we use for Season 2. So we'll have you record a clip to be used in that intro, and we'd give you more details at that time. The $5 amount is going to be you'll get a spot on our Wall of Fame on our blog, and we'll shout you as a sponsor on our show. $7 will get you to the express lane for questions asked. And as we go down this list, I should say that you get all of the rewards above included in that. So if you donate the $7 per month, you actually get the $5 and the $3 as well. And the final level that we have at this point is $10 a month. And with that, you get an autographed poster by us that you can hang.
Yeah, you put it over your mantle, probably.
Yeah, I mean, mantle's good. I don't necessarily want to tell you where to put it, but, we
have some ideas. Yeah. And again, so those are monthly donations. So whatever you elect to do, that's coming out per month. $5 a month, $60 a year, you're spending however much on your Netflix, your Hulu. $5 a month, it doesn't seem like a lot to you if you think about how much you spend over the course of a month, but to us, that's $60 a year, and that makes us one step closer to our $180 goal. So, it doesn't, for the amount of content you're getting over the course of a month, which is upwards of 4 or 5 hours of podcast, it's not probably too much to ask, but whatever you're comfortable giving, we will happily accept. The other option is again the PayPal route, and that's just a one-time donation. And for PayPal, the rewards are considerably more simple. So a donation of more than $10 on PayPal will get you a spot on that Wall of Fame, which is on our website. And then $20 or more, one-time donation on PayPal will get you that autographed photo. And you're going to want those autographed photos because it's collector's item. I suspect when this podcast really, really hits its stride, a year or 2 from now when we're being featured on iTunes, when you click on it, that's going to be something that's going to be worth some money, Jordan, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And you
Almost
certainly want to get in at the bottom floor here. So
yeah, but to return to a more serious note, we would appreciate any donations anyone could provide. We're not going to be going into as much detail on this moving forward because at a certain point people don't like being solicited for money, and we understand that. But at the same time, we would appreciate any and all help you can provide us. So
yeah, absolutely. We're going to be very thankful for whatever you can give us. But let's stop talking. Let's get into the recap.
Let's stop talking about dollars and cents. Jordan. Let's start talking about I don't know. Top
episodes, huh?
I had hoped something would rhyme with sense. It just didn't quite come. But let's get into what we've been promising. And how do you want to start, Jordan?
Well, I guess you want to start sad, and then we'll go ahead and get happy, end on a high note, something like that.
Yeah, I think let's start sad. Let's start from the bottom.
Yeah, as we are wont to do. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start with the worst episodes, and definitely took some research here to go ahead and figure out what they were. Listeners can probably recall that we didn't like a few, but I went back, and I was trying to figure out which ones might be the worst of the worst for me, and it's kind of hard to remember.
Nay, impossible.
Yeah, nay, impossible.
It's really hard because so many of the same threads and plot points are hit on, and jokes are made time and time again, that everything does definitely start to blur together, especially when you watch it on like a weekly basis. Like I had a real tough time with this, but that's not to say I didn't put some thought into it, because I sure as heck did.
Yeah, you sure did. So, yeah, and I went back and listened to a lot of them.
I did not put that much thought into it.
Yeah, I went back and listened to a lot of them at like fast speeds and tried to get through a bunch of them. Yeah, it's hard to remember a lot of these. We've been doing it for a while. I think it goes all the way back to May.
Right. Then we took three weeks off.
Well, more. We earned that.
Yeah. Just like how after the end of the first season, we've earned the right to ask people for money. We've it's a sense of entitlement that makes this podcast what it is.
It sure does. So yeah, I don't know how you did this. I don't have this in any particular order really. So
it's how I can do it. Sure.
Okay. So that'll work for us. But I'm gonna go back to one that was way back at the start of season 1, and that was episode 2, Mo Better Blues. And I think this is one that neither of us really liked, especially when I was listening to us talk about it. And really the worst parts where it was one of those episodes where it had the classic Tim gag, he wants more power in something, and at the end of the episode, it kind of kicks back on him. And, we just had the same thing happen in the first episode when the dishwasher blew out. So back-to-back occurrences of that. And then I think we had the one scene that really stuck out to me is when they had Jill in the garage in this episode. And it seemed like the writers were just kind of setting her up for failure, and they wrote all these really bad one-line jokes that she had to rattle off one after another. Just seemed like kind of poor writing, really didn't fit with the Jill character, and made her look kind of bad. And yeah, it was just, it became the very low mark on my barometer for a lot of the season, and I don't really know that there was much to redeem it either, so.
Yeah, that one is not on my list, but you make some compelling points. I did not remember that scene until you mentioned it, where, it's as if they were trying to make her into some sort of a budding stand-up comic, like just like one-liner, and that was pretty brutal. The first one I want to talk about is A Battle of Wheels, and that's one we covered relatively recently, where there's the whole fight about Jill doing pottery in the garage, and Tim wanting the garage to be used as a man zone, if you will. And I mean, I'm not probably going to go into as much depth as you did, but like the primary issue there was Jill had already agreed to do her pottery down in the basement, and then she was kind of reneging on that offer, and they were using that shared space, and it just wasn't a very pleasant episode. And I never find myself caring about episodes where they're just fighting the whole time, and that was the case there. They were just bickering throughout the entirety of the episode, and there were no stakes. And the only redeeming part of that episode was where Al hosts the show, but he was just kind of bumbling, and I did not care for that one. Yeah,
you're right about that one. That was a pretty poor effort, and we both didn't like it at the time, and I kind of forgot about it so quickly, even though we just listened to it like
three episodes ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, but she agreed to something and then she just didn't stand by it. So
yeah, and it's also just very cliche, right? Like she's blasting the opera while he's like working with like power tools, and it's like which one can be louder, and it's just very lazy. The whole thing was just very lazy to me.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So you just mentioned one where they fight, mm-hmm. and I wanted to bring up another one where they're fighting quite a bit, and that's Bubble Bubble, Toil, and Trouble. And this is the one where they do the remodeling of the bathroom. And the thing that really bothered me about this episode is that, there was a lot of fighting in this one, but Jill kind of blew up at the end, and we didn't really see any giant fights before that. It was kind of like a slow build where she was kind of getting upset, and then all of a sudden she just kind of explodes to the point where she leaves to a hotel, and it seems like the worst is going to happen.
Yeah, she goes and stays at a hotel. It's as if they're going to divorce or something, and then all of a sudden at the end
she's fine.
And that's the one where at the end she's like in the tub and she's playing like opera music and everybody's banging on the door or whatever.
Right,
it's been like 6 hours. Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Another one of mine is actually the highest ranked episode according to IMDb of season 1, and that's What About Bob?
Bob Vila.
I really did not like this episode, and I thought back to the, you associate Bob Vila with Home Improvement, you think like these are going to be really good episodes, but I found this one to just be insufferable. I just like didn't, none of the jokes were landing to me. I didn't like Tim's just general insecurity throughout the episode and being kind of like pinned up against Bob Vila. I thought Bob Vila was a lousy actor, and just the stump a tool man game, Jill calling it just none of it really worked for me. And yeah, and even the Curtis stuff was just kind of annoying to me. The only thing I remember being funny about that episode was Randy putting Cheese Whiz in someone's shoe. But yeah, I really did not like this episode. Usually I love it when they bring in guest stars. Most of the season the guest stars have worked for me, but for whatever reason, this Bob Vila episode seemed like a real low point for me. I just was not into any of the competition at all. And maybe it's done more effectively moving forward, but I did not care for this one.
No, and I think, we're going to talk a little bit later about some of our, top guest moments, but in this episode, Bob Vila, he's just, he puts in one of the poorest performances.
No, it's very poor. It's just like very hammy, the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I agree. So the last one that I have listed here is Jill's birthday, and this is the one where Tim apparently forgets about Jill's birthday, even though he sets up this big extravagant stuff for Valentine's Day later on. But yeah, so he forgets her birthday, and then somehow all the kids are responsible for their own gifts, even though they're too young to actually have any means to do so or any money or whatnot. So yeah, and then I felt like in this episode they really missed out on an opportunity they focused on it for 1 second where they were talking about Jill's, she was worried that she was aging and
insecurity.
Yeah, Jill's insecurity, and they could have really, I think, turned that into a better episode, have it be something that actually mattered or something with depth and resonance for an audience, but instead they just kind of did it superficially.
This was my last one as well, so yeah, that works out. I just logistically, the young boy, just the idea of the whole family showing up at the table the morning of her birthday and being like, "Hey, what'd you get, Mom? What'd you get, Mom?" It's these are young boys. How Tim not checking in to make sure that they'd got their mom a gift or talking about it with them beforehand just seemed super implausible. The series in the first season can't really decide whether or not Tim is certain episodes he's a great husband and he remembers everything, Valentine's Day dates, so on and so forth, and then some episodes it's her birthday and he doesn't have any idea, right? So it's just it just goes back and forth. It's like a seesaw, and yeah, just the boys getting the bottle of perfume and then it's smoking. That was really cheesy, and they're 10, 11-year-old boys. There's no way they should be responsible for getting their mom a gift on their own. And yeah, that whole thing it didn't seem like something that was grounded in any kind of reality to me. Having said that, I did think in that episode, the final scene where he makes kind of the video, what we call a presentation, was kind of nice, but leading up to that point, it just didn't make much sense. So.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all. Yep.
Well, that was depressing.
Not as much overlap as I thought we might have.
No, and that's a good thing for us. Yeah. We don't want to have, be saying the same thing. But let's get optimistic, huh?
I like it. Yeah, I like it. All right, so we're gonna talk top 3 episodes now after kind of depressing ourselves and probably losing some listeners. So top 3 episodes. I guess probably in no particular order. My first one that I want to talk about is Up Your Alley. I thought that was a really fun episode. I liked the kind of alternative setting of the bowling alley. You got the K&B construction boys coming back. You try to forget the fact that they are in a bowling league that takes place in Detroit, even though they're from Bay City. It was fun to have those guys back. That's probably the best episode for Randy and Brad, where they are kind of facing off against that bully. And then they kind of have sort of an Ocean's 11 sort of plan come together. They silly string him, they get him really good, and in the end, Jill beats Tim, which doesn't happen a ton. I just thought that was a really fun episode.
Yeah, I agree. That was definitely one that got consideration on my list. Didn't necessarily make the top 3 for me, but certainly worthy of praise. And so my first one, I'm going to go back even earlier in season 1 to Wild Kingdom. And there's a few reasons I really like this one. One of my favorite reasons is the really great physical acting with Tim and the snake. And I would be grossed out by a real snake, especially being that close to me and trying to put it down my shirt. So that was really good for me. I also really enjoyed how they bucked masculinity in this episode. We see so often in season 1 and really the whole series where it's about manpower and all that kind of stuff, grunting, whatever you want to call it, masculinity. And this one, they talk about how it's okay for Tim to be scared. And it's okay to be afraid of something and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good message to send to those Boy Scouts and those kids. And I also really liked how this episode was coherent. There wasn't really anything that was crazy or out of place that didn't make sense that we get later in the series where we get, Wilson being Santa and he's really Santa, or just scenes that didn't really need to be in there. I thought this was a good episode throughout.
Right.
And I also really liked, I also just remembered this one from my past, so it just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, that was right on the periphery of my top 3. It didn't end up making it, but yeah, it is a really well-written episode, and the physical humor of Tim when he's sitting near that, I guess it's sort of a hole in the wall, and the snake comes through.
Mm-hmm.
It could have ended up being very cheesy, but in the end, it was actually a very well done sequence. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed that one as well. Next one on my list is Flying Sauces.
That's on my list as well.
All right, good. So we can kind of both talk about this one. I really like this one for several reasons. It's the first K&B Boys construction appearance, and those guys are great throughout the whole season, even dating as far into the season as our last episode, Stereotypical. But this is their first appearance, and they make it count. It's funny every time they come, but it's especially funny the first time because you're seeing the dynamic of Pete and Dwayne and Rock and all those guys. Really liked that. Probably has one of the best scenes of any episode in the first season, and that's the end where they are tricking Brad and Randy into thinking that they're aliens and they're faking the flying saucer, and Inagata DeVita plays. I think that's a really great scene. It's a really fun scene. They're fine. The stuff in the basement with the 8-track tapes and them kind of quizzing each other about music is like a cute sort of a couple thing. Jill knows her music. I just like this one all around. I just think it's really really just a fun thing. And the K&B Boys, they're talking about they're cooking. So these guys, they're cooking. They're doing musical accompaniment with tools as well. They're very versatile. All in all, I think this is just a really fun episode.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I said this was on my list as well. The K&B Boys teaching me how to cook something new, and every time they're on, it's good. I like that Brad and Randy got their comeuppance a little bit in this episode after picking on Mark a bunch, and very memorable music. Just a great episode all the way around, and it's always good when the title of the episode actually relates to what's going on in the episode. So that's going forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a rare one.
Sure is.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
I guess
so my last...
yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'll go, because you just did the last one. So, yeah, so for me, the last one on my list, and I think this will be on yours too, a surprise for me was For Whom the Belch Tolls with Christopher McDonald.
My favorite of the season as well.
Yeah, so, definitely. Yep. So for me, Christopher McDonald makes this episode really. It's an episode that tackles something real, the nostalgic, tendency of some friends who don't necessarily grow up, and it has a little bit more depth emotionally. Christopher McDonald does a really great job of just bringing depth to that character. He's got kind of a manic personality, as you said, going up and down. When he's reliving the days, and then when Tim kind of drops the hammer on him, and it's time to move on. So
yeah, it's one of the few episodes where it seems like it's grounded in reality. Like it's poignant, it's realistic, and it's something that probably happens to everybody at a certain point in their life, or everyone knows someone that is like the Christopher McDonald character. his acting is fantastic. It's a simple concept. The scenes are like, it's not trying to make like crude jokes. It's not trying to be funny. It's very well written. It's very sentimental, and yeah, I hadn't seen it before. I think also, or I don't remember seeing it. And I think also just like not expecting it and kind of being caught off guard by how well Home Improvement kind of tackled the issue of like, everybody has that friend who refuses to grow up, or people are kind of caught in the past, or being nostalgic for a time in their life that they romanticize as being better than it actually was, or that is better than their life now. And yeah, I just think it was just a really great episode. My favorite episode of the season, bar none. Yeah, in a landslide. And McDonald was great. You got Tino, you got Forche,
Club Piranha,
Piranha, Bury Me Again, Bayonet Hell. It's all good. So.
It's all good. Yeah, I agree. And we talked about a few episodes where they had like good ideas that they didn't necessarily flesh out well or capitalize on. But
right.
for this one, I think they had a good episode, a good premise, and they executed it pretty flawlessly. So that's our top 3 episodes. And I guess what we can do now is move on to our top moments. And these are just moments in the show that we really enjoyed. Some of mine aren't even like big things that happened. But
best or worst? We talking?
Let's do best. Best on my list. So.
Okay. All right. My best moments. Relatively short list. Lion just recovered a fumble is on there. I noted earlier the Inagata-Devita flying sauces scene. Jill's got the glowing vampire teeth. The music's playing. There's strobe lights. I thought that was very fun. Christopher McDonald and Tim, their conversation in the garage, and then by the door near the end of that episode. And then Ernest Borgnine and Tim sitting at the table in Birds of a Feather, where he's telling the story about the ceramic, was it ceramic dogs or cats? Or what was it? Cats.
Porcelain cats.
Porcelain cats, where, he used to put them away every day, and then his wife would get him back out, and they did that for 30 years, then she passed away. And, just really, really sweet. Really, I like the sentimental scenes as good as I like any scenes in Home Improvement.
You're a sap. You're a big sap.
Evidently. Those are my best moments, yeah.
Yeah, I echo all those sentiments. And, so my list is a little bit, a couple things that are on my list that weren't necessarily on yours. The first one is actually from the pilot episode. The scenes with Mark and Tim kind of getting ready to fix the dishwasher, and Tim taking Mark under his wing, giving him a toy tool belt, and all of those kind of like the grunting scene, all those really, I thought they were touching moments and good scenes that really got the series off to a good start. And then my other one is not necessarily like a moment, but something that the writers in Home Improvement do very well. And we've talked about this before, and we have some of these, but it's the naming. So Bob and Stinky, Rondell, Jennifer Sudarsky, Jason Loomis, Tino and Forche.
Big Mike's Tavern,
yep,
Stinky Sandwich. No, you're right, definitely. Yeah.
All right, so that leaves us with our last category, I think, and that is...
Well, do you have worst moments or no?
I just did worst episodes as worst moments, so...
I have some worst moments as well.
All right.
Because I guess not only did I want to dwell on the worst episodes, I also want to talk about bad moments separate from that. So my worst moments are lawnmower at the end of Mo Better Blues. You mentioned that. That scene where Brad and Jennifer Sudarsky are doing Valentine's Day stuff, and there's that melodramatic music, and it feels like the stakes are really high. I'm not necessarily sure what episode that's from, but that was one.
I think it was the Valentine's one?
Yeah, I don't know what that was called, though. I can't remember. Tim and Mark as women in Look Who's Not Talking, where they dress up as women, and Tim does like a female voice for like 45 minutes, it feels like. Anything with Karen. She's in 2 episodes. Anything with her. Bob Vila acting in What About Bob? And the poker chip closing in... what's the poker episode called?
Oh boy, that one's called Luck Be a Taylor Tonight.
Yeah, Luck Be a Taylor. The really cheesy poker scene closing where it's like the like they do like early computer graphics and the chips come up in the air and they have like people's faces talking on them. Those are some of my worst moments, in addition to worst episodes. So now we can talk about guest stars.
Yeah, we can. So yeah, there are a lot of good ones that you mentioned or we've mentioned. We talked about Chris McDonald in For Whom the Bell Tolls. I think Jack Elam was really good when he was playing kind of the old man opposite of Ernest Borgnine, who was single, and I forget...
Hick Peterson.
Yeah, Hick Peterson. I think he was really good in playing his role.
Borgnine and Elam. Christopher McDonald is great. I liked Art LaFleur and Ron Taylor in Nothing More Than Feelings as well.
Yeah, they were both very good in that episode. Very memorable and made me laugh a few times.
And of course the Construction Boys as well.
Oh yeah, no list would be complete without them. But yeah, I also liked Sir Harry Houdini as well.
Sir Harry Houdini, you did it again, even though it's Larry Houdini. You're gonna say it wrong in the last episode of the season.
Well, I wanted to bookend the series.
He was funny. You know, you got to say the majority of the guest stars they bring in work. Even the George Foreman episode it's fun. I mean, it's fun to have them around. So they do a really good job with guest stars, I would say. Any recording memories you want to talk about? Anything regarding that?
Well, we should mention that we got a couple of questions that we want to address. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and do so in our mailbag segment.
Mm-hmm. Mailbug.
Yep, mailbug. So let's go ahead and get ready for that.
You've got mail.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions here submitted by Kig Tweets, and we definitely want to go ahead and answer those. So the first one that we have is, what kind of stuff have we left on the cutting floor? What did we not include? What could have been in the outtakes? And there's certainly a few things that we've left out or.
And Jordan, you do all the editing, so this will be a question that is more suited for you. So I mean, what do you think? What have we left on the cutting room floor?
Well, I mean, we do include a lot of stuff in there. We don't cut as much as we used to. We did include some outtakes earlier on that were kind of mess ups, but people don't necessarily get to hear a lot of your horse noises and vocal preparations that you do before you get on air. It's a lot of very strange things that happen.
Yeah.
People want to think that Adam's very polished. And
it definitely does not sound like that to anyone.
Well, yeah, and I've heard, several neighs. I've heard very disturbing noises that I can't really place. I don't know if there's monsters that are inside you.
It's my vocal coach has me run through a couple things before I record. You have to get the larynx just you have to get it sort of warmed up in order to have the dulcet, sultry tones that I bring to the podcast every week. Definitely. I mean, I'm doing some things before to get my voice warmed up. I would say before the show or during the show cuts that I suspect we've made. Any number of episodes, you say words wrong 3, 4, 5 times.
At least.
So maybe there's been some cuts made there. I seem to remember, what's the Forever Jung episode where it's like Carl Jung? you said Forever Jung.
Yeah.
Other than, I'm trying to think what else we might have.
There's been a few times where you do like one-liners right before we go to a break, and I have to cut those out, and it's just me laughing.
Moments before, like right before cue those grunts, I can think of a couple of times where I've probably said purposefully sort of silly things, and then you've laughed. But we keep the majority of the things in the air. I guess this might have been a month ago, we had an introduction where we were just describing what was in our recording studios, aka our bedrooms, and it was really boring and not leading anywhere, so we did scrap that. But yeah, we try to give you as unfiltered of a recording as we can.
Yeah, we're just trying to be authentic, and I hope that comes through, and I hope that answers your question. Quick Kig Tweets.
Yeah, so another one from at Kig Tweets. What's the silliest thing at Jordan Lyons has said so far? Example: I'm really good at bowling.
Well, I don't know how that's funny. I also don't think I've ever said I'm good at bowling, but that is the example that she gives here. So
she might be coming with some background knowledge.
Yeah,
on the entire debate. I don't know.
Yeah, she might be biased too.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Silliest thing Jordan Lyons has said. Well, I mean, you had an answer for this.
I have an answer for it. I don't know if you have anything specifically here, but in Satellite on a Hot Tim's Roof, there were a few jokes early on that were definitely sexual innuendos, and in the scene at the very end of the episode, there's Tim, and on the Tool Time set, he's vigorously sanding a table, electrically sanding it, and he kind of tires out. And I, for some reason, connected those two things, and I thought that was a veiled reference to maybe a selfish act.
Selfish? I mean, I don't know. You thought he was pleasuring himself.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But upon further review, that might have been a little bit far-fetched. So
yeah, I would say upon review immediately after, it was far-fetched. Yeah, that's definitely silly. I would say, what other silly things have we said? I think the Mary-Kate and Ashley question at the end of one of those early shows was pretty silly. I find myself, of course, the reasonably funny, reasonably well done. I also seem to continually fall back on the joke where it's like between a Tim in a hard place or between a blank in a hard place. I don't. That's not something I.
It works every time.
Yeah, well, you in your mind. I'd be curious what other people think of that, but yeah, I mean, those are just a couple of things that I could think of off the top of my head. But yeah, great questions, and thank you at Kig Tweets. She's been a loyal supporter since day one, and I thank her for her continued support and listening to the podcast.
Yeah,
very,
absolutely.
Very much so.
I wish she would be a little bit nicer to me. I'm not sure what I've done.
Yeah, she's got a real beef with you. I don't know why.
I think maybe we'll try to repair.
Not able to pinpoint it.
We'll hash it out.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Other than that, I mean, in terms of recording memories, we talked about the origins early on, but we've been at it since about June, I would say, conservatively. So we've been doing it for quite a while. It continues to be enjoyable. It continues to be a fun way to spend my Friday mornings, and I like listening to it, and I love the interactions on Twitter and social media and hearing from everybody. And Jordan, above all else, I like talking to you.
Oh, you are such a sweetheart. Yeah, we've had some sentimental moments between hosts here. You brought up the fact that I taught you how to tie a tie, and that was very emotional moment for both of us. But we're excited to move on to season 2 here. We're excited to get back into it. We hope that you guys will continue to engage with us, ask us questions, participate in our weird polls, and share your love for the Home Impodcast with others as we move forward to season 2 here, because we're excited.
You bet your we are, Jordan. You bet your we are.
Yeah, we certainly are. So,
on that note, Jordan, let's roll into the second season. Let's we're gonna start things off a couple weeks from now. We're gonna be making some changes, probably a new introduction, some new segments. And if the people want to reach out to us, how do they do so?
Yeah, still several options out there available. We still have the website, thehomeimpodcast.com, where you can also, support us now, donate via PayPal, via Patreon. We're still there at Twitter at Home Impodcast, Facebook.com/Home Impodcast. You can go ahead and email us at homeimpodcast@gmail.com. And, if you haven't done so yet, feel free to go onto iTunes, rate and review us. That is definitely a huge way that people find our show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jordan, in the words of Cash Money Heroes, we made it. Take care, Jordan, and take care, everybody. See ya in season 2.
Take care.